What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. And yes, it is the start of the seasons. This is Falcon Fan Talk Tuesday. We're going to do a quick Falcons preview for the 2024 seasons. Well, I don't know if it's quick, but we're going to get into a lot of stuff today. Hey, we're back, guys. The guys report to training camp tomorrow. I know you guys excited. It's been a long 6 weeks since those guys took off from the mandatory minicamp, but they should already be ready to go. What's going on, A1 Forever? Guys, but it's we ready to keep this thing started. The guys show up tomorrow. They first practice on Thursday. If you guys are going to be at the high school on Saturday, see you guys there. We're going to definitely have to depend on, our guys that's covering the team for us this training camp season, because we only got 2 open practices for the fans to get out there and see the team. So we're going to definitely rely on, our the Falcons teams out there to report what's going on. Definitely get to see a lot during preseason, but it's kind of exciting because it's going to be a little unknown for us this year, going into the season, especially with a new staff and things like that. So I can't wait for this season to kick off. We're going to get into it, and I hope you guys are excited too. So with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know to drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear me talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So guys, like I said, the 2024 season is here. It's been a long time coming. You guys get ready for your fantasy football leagues. So much thing. Hope you got your vacations out of the way. Hope you got your, family good, because when football season start, hey, that's where it's at, right? This is really the most exciting time, especially for me. I love football. I know you guys do it too as well. College football, NFL football, but my heart is the Atlanta Falcons, and we are back. We are back. I know you guys are ready. The 2024 season is here. Those guys show up tomorrow. We'll start getting reports about who's going to start the count, probably on the injured list, not playing that much, getting back into form. Hopefully it's not Kirk Cousins. Hopefully he comes out and he does his thing right out of the way. He said he wanted to be ready to go from day one of training camp. So let's hope that's here. But guys, this is it. Start of the season. I know you guys are excited. A long off season. Just think about all the things that transpired since our 2023 team, led off by the coach, our new coach. We had a new quarterback come in, whole new staff. The whole blown out proportion thing about Michael Penix Jr., right? And we got some excitement coming in for this season. I hope you guys are excited too. I can't explain the feel because it's kind of different feel. It's like a unknown excitement, vice, like what we think is going to happen, because we really don't know. We think we got a good team. The national media is kind of high on the Falcons, which is interesting this year. So that's going to tell a lot. What's going on, John? So I think it's going to be a lot of things going on this off season. I hope you guys say, yeah, like the red hat, man. I had to throw it on. Hey, it started the season, and guess what? We're going to get back rolling here, man. So expect to start seeing videos pop out again. I took a break, just like everybody else took a break. So I still came out once a week to talk about the Falcons, but hey, it's on and popping now. So let's get it going. Let's get it going. All right, so guys, we all know how this thing is going to kick off, right? The first thing definitely is going to be a big thing is the storylines, right? Storylines to start the season off. And there's a lot for our Atlanta Falcons, right? We just talked about some of the things that we definitely don't know and don't know what to expect, because just kind of a new team, but kind of not a new team, right? So it's a lot of storylines that we definitely got to get into. The first storyline I'm talking about today is the coaching staff, right? We just talked about it. We got a new coach. Raheem Morris came in. He brought in a new coaching staff. He got a new offensive coordinator, first time play caller. He got a new defensive coordinator, first time play caller, right? Raheem Morris decided not to call plays. He's going to be like the CEO for the team. He did keep guys on the staff that was here last year to kind of keep some kind of continuity, which is good. Guys like Jerry Gray, you know, our offensive line coach, like those guys is going to be huge for us. Um, Phil, TJ Yates put him as the quarterback coach, right? But if you look at the offensive staff, which is really awesome to what he decided, he put a lot of brain trust around the offensive staff, right? Got Campese there, got a lot of guys, got an assistant quarterback coach to help out TJ Yates. So we got to put a lot of minds in the offensive room to help out Zach Robinson, first time play caller. Um, then you look at a guy like Jimmy Lake, who has head coaching experience, at the collegiate level, comes over, be that defensive coordinator, guy who worked with Raheem Morris. So, of course, that's a relationship there. He knows him well. Um, and if you look at a guy like Jimmy Lake track record, has a lot of success with defensive backs in college. Go look at some of the guys that he coached in college and look at the success they had in the NFL. You pair that up with a guy like Jerry Gray. I think the secondary is going to be solid. So the coaching staff is really something that I think if you're excited by something for the 2024 season, just take a look at this coaching staff, right? They're starting at the top with Raheem Morris, of course. His energy, what he's going to be able to bring to this team is already shown throughout the offseason, right? The positive vibes that he has put out, the belief that he has put, in this team and in the fan base, right? That we can go out and actually do some good things. So start with Raheem Morris, but then you go look at some of the guys he brought in, guys that's, you know, put in positions, like a Ike Hilliard that's going to come in, who was really good in when he was a pro in the NFL, teach our young wide receiver core, to be better than what they were. Guys like that. So you like this coaching staff, and I think the coaching staff is going to be the key, right? We got a lot of young players on this team, a lot of guys that need to take the jumps, get better and improve. We got a lot of rookies that we expect to contribute early. So this coaching staff is going to be important. A lot of guys, people think that it's all about the players, which it is, but the coaches have to put these players in the best position to do what they do, right? So the coaching staff is going to be important. You look at what Raheem Morris was able to do, not last season, but you know 2 seasons ago when he had to come in and they had that little dip, right? And he came in last year with a lot of young players when able to get that team to the playoffs, right? So that's the kind of coaching we want to be able to see. Take young guys that wasn't drafted high, they wasn't expected to make a contribution right away, but they was drafted and he brought those guys in and they had good seasons, guys like a Kobe Turner. So that's what you want to see from this coaching staff. The same kind of thing Raheem Morris was able to do with the Los Angeles Rams, and if he can do something like that, can tied with the veterans that we have on this team, I think this team can really, really be good. So the first storyline for me is to see what this coaching staff going to be able to bring, to this team to get this team to take that next level that we need their team to take. So that first storyline for me is the coaching staff. Now, guys, if you got any other storylines that you want me to keep that I don't mention, because I got like 6 storylines I'm gonna talk about today. So definitely, if you got something that I don't mention, throw it out. We definitely can discuss that. But these are ones I think that's it's going to be prevalent, throughout the season, especially the start of training camp. So we're definitely going to talk about them because believe me, if we don't talk about them, we know that the national media are going to put it out there, and as fans, we kind of know what the deal is, and we got to be able to look at some of that and make sure that we don't have these issues, right? So the first thing that we definitely want to talk about, the second storyline that I definitely want to get into is the quarterback position, right? And let's just go on to get it right out the way right now, right? It's no quarterback competition. So if the national media wants to go ahead and try to throw that out, right, and try to make it seem like the Atlanta Falcons got a quarterback competitions going on. That is not the case. Yes, we drafted a quarterback at the number 8 spot in this year's draft. You go back to my emails. I feel like that was for next year's draft, right? So it was they got their quarterback of the future, a guy that can sit and learn behind Kirk Cousins. But it's no quarterback competition. It's just not. So we can really no don't try to go there. I know the national media you're gonna go there, especially for a guy like Michael Penix go out and he actually plays really well to start the season. I'm doing a podcast. Doing really well to start the season. So I mean, I hope he does. I hope Michael Penix go out and he light up preseason. I hope he really does. I hope he does all those good things that we want to see him do. And if that's the case, that'd be excellent for us, right? But this year, 2024, it's all about Kirk Cousins, right? We need Kirk Cousins to come out. And if you go back and look at the start of last season, he was on a trajectory, to have an MVP type season. That's exactly where Kirk Cousins was on. He was on that trajectory. He took the Achilles injuries, and then season was ended, right? But if Kirk Cousins can pick back up where he left off last season to start the season, we're gonna be happy with the results that we get from Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is probably one of the most important aspects for this team for Atlanta Falcons. For one reason, he was the number one free agent coming up and during the offseason for any in the league, right? He was the number one free agent. People say what they want to say, but when a quarterback is on the market, quarterback is Kirk Cousins caliber, all pro quarterback. He was the number one free agent, and Atlanta Falcons got him. So, but his importance to this team, we just talked about a guy like Zach Robinson being the first time play caller, a guy that Kirk Cousins been in this system for like 12 seasons. I think is going to be important for Kirk Cousins to get this offense going, along with Zach Robinson and his experience, his ability to already, get the game plan, get it to the teammates, help the offensive line, with protections and things like that. I think it's going to be crucial. His ability to get the ball out quick, his ability to maneuver around the pocket, and his ability to deliver the ball on time and with accuracy is going to be important. All those things that we hopefully get to see from Kirk Cousins this offseason. So for the quarterback situation, we want to see how Kirk Cousins come out. Definitely want to see Michael Penix, how good he's going to play. I get all that, but Michael Penix is the future. This year, it's important to see how Kirk Cousins is going to manage, right? That's their game plan. That's why they pay him $100 million guaranteed. They want to see Kirk Cousins be the best version of himself, and it's not a quarterback competition. It's just not, right? Now, when we went into the offseason program, we had Michael Penix playing with the third team and fourth team. I think you draft the guy number 8. I think he should move up to number 2 at least. So we'll definitely just see how that plays out during training camp and things like that. How quick a guy like Michael Penix can learn the system, get comfortable, because if something do happen to Kirk Cousins, you want a guy like Michael Penix to be ready, right? Taylor Heineke is fine. I mean, I think he's a solid backup to play a couple of games, but that's not why we drafted Michael Penix. We want Michael Penix to be the guy. So if somehow, for some reason, knock on wood, Kirk Cousins does get injured, we want Michael Penix to be ready. So hopefully he has, digested that install that he had during our season, come back in and ready to learn. And if something does happen to Kirk Cousins, he's ready to go. But Kirk Cousins is our guy. He's the number one guy, and that's what we want to see moving forward. So that's what I think. And we hopefully, you know, Thursday when they start training camp, Kirk Cousins is under center. Question from John Marino. Uh, Kirk Cousins is one and done. That's the talk I'm hearing. Like I said, I don't know if he's one and done. Right? I mean, if you look at the contract, it does not seem that way, because technically it's probably a 2-year contract more than anything. That's where all the guaranteed money's at. So he could be one and done, right? And the Falcons will have to figure out a way to do something with that, maybe trade him or something like that if they think Michael Penix is ready to go in 2025. But right now, if you're looking at the money, looking at the guaranteed money, it looks like a 2-year contract. And that's where most of the guaranteed money. He does have 10 million guaranteed in that third season, but that's something that the Atlanta Falcons could stomach instead of taking that big hit in 2025. But if Michael Penix is ready to go and they determine that he's the future, you're 100% right. It could be one and done. But no matter what, this season is a season for Kirk Cousins to try to get us, to where we want to go and get all the things that Atlanta Falcons want to achieve this season. If you go back to the press conference that Rich McKay and Arthur Blank had once they let Arthur Smith go, one of the things Rich McKay said, he feel like this team is not in a rebuild. It's a team that can compete right now. That's the reason they went and got Kirk Cousins. That's the reason they pay him $180 million. That's $100 million guaranteed. So they believe that this team has the ability to compete with any other team in this league, and that's why they went out and got Kirk Cousins. We got here on the Falcon fandom. What's going on? Preseason, let's go. Yes, it's time to kick it off. So that's what I think about Kirk Cousins. But guys, he's the key, right? If he can come out and get this system going, be able to get his playmakers the ball, all he got to do will be a good solid point guard, for this Atlanta Falcon team, because we got the pieces there. So I think if that can happen, we need to see that right away, right? If you look at the front end of the schedule, it's not friendly. We got some pretty good, talented teams that we're going to be facing to start the season, and that's what we really need to see from Kirk Cousins. So, so that my second, storyline is definitely the quarterback position, and once again, I'm just going to say it's not a quarterback controversy, not a competition, it's nothing like that. We need to already go in understanding that does not matter how well Michael Penix plays, right? He's the future. All right. My third point for storyline is the secondary, right? We all know if you look at the secondary, it's question marks at the second cornerback position. Now the Atlanta Falcons have brought in some corners, right? Some veteran corners, Antonio Hamilton. They brought in Kevin King. They already had Clark Phillips III. They had Mike Hughes here, right? So it's going to be interesting to see who ends up being that second corner. I know everybody talked about it, but right now it's looking like the front two that's theirs, Mike Hughes and Clark Phillips III. It's going to be so that's the storyline. There's no way to look around it when you're looking at that cornerback position. That's going to be the storyline. One other thing to think about, guys, and I know it's not having been talked about, which you have to tip your hats off to the Falcons because they really do not, put, business in the streets per se. And that's AJ Terrell's contract, right? He's playing on his 5th-year option this year. So it's going to really be interesting to see what AJ Terrell contract situation, if that gets solved before the start of the season. Because if not, he's going in the season playing on his last year's contract. And then that's really interesting because now instead of having, one cornerback position locked up, maybe we going into 2025 with two cornerback positions that we need to solve. Or if they do not figure out AJ Terrell contract. So he's playing in his 5th year. Usually, you would think that they get that done. Does not know the holdup. If you just look, I think Tyson Campbell just signed a $76 million contract. That could have been what him and his agents waiting for to see the market and can try to figure out what he should be asking for. But that is a storyline. I know that they haven't talked about it, which is good. They keeping the business and they coming out. AJ just going to ball out, right? He's not holding out anything like that. But that is something that I think is out there that just not having been talked about. And he's going in his 5th-year option without a contract for 2020, 2025 and beyond. So that's interesting. Just wanted to throw that out. But that second cornerback position is going to be a good camp battle to have, right? There are veteran, free agents out there, but it seems like Raheem Morris, like the group of guys that he have, he probably had some, some some things from Jerry Gray that had to say about the guys that's here already. And he took that to heart. And we'll see. We'll definitely get to see how these guys compete and who will emerge to be that number 2 guy on the opposite side of AJ Terrell. The nickel cornerback, especially the way they pass the ball now, is going to be um, a big deal as well. Look like D Offer is that guy right now, but we don't know. We'll have to just see. So that secondary position from a cornerback standpoint is definitely a storyline that definitely we get to hear. We're going to get to hear a lot of things. We're not going to be able to see a lot. We get to see some stuff in preseason, but since, only 2 practices, we won't get to see a lot this year, especially from a training camp standpoint. But hopefully the guys that's reporting, on our Atlanta Falcons this year give us some good insight, on that battle at that cornerback 2 position and that nickel position. I said secondary, so the safety position is also a thing that really needs to take a good look at. We know the issues that Richard Grant had in coverage last year. The way Ryan Nielsen played his defense, it was a lot of man to man. So you was going to get beat. This is pretty much what if you can't do man to man coverage because he played a lot of man to man. That's the way Ryan Nielsen ran his defense. You got to have good pass rush, and that front 7 and that secondary has to work hand in hand. It's just that simple when we're talking about that. So Richard Grant, and DeMarco Helms, that battle between those 2 guys is going to be really interesting to see who turns out to be that box safety for us. Is it going to be DeMarco Helms, who had an excellent preseason last year, and then he actually had some starts towards the end of the season. So looked like he was emerging to take Richard Grant's spot. But Richard Grant does have strengths, right? And that's what I go back to the coaching staff. They need to put Richard Grant in his places where he could be successful instead of putting him in spots where he will be unsuccessful. So that's what they need to do. I mean, he's a great blitzer. Like I say, he's great in the box. Just that man-to-man coverage. He probably is better in zone defense more than man-to-man. So that's coming to some of the things they probably need to look at. Make Richard Grant play in a better, position for himself to be successful than setting him up for failure. So now DeMarco Helms is not like a guy that's going to go out and be this awesome coverage guys either, but he seems to understand the position better and the role he need to have. This is a new defense, so that safety position, that strong safety position, is going to be really interesting to see how it pans out. So the secondary, the cornerbacks, and the safeties are something that we definitely going to keep an eye on, during this offseason and the preseason games to take a look at that. Let's get some of these comments real quick. Big Dog 404, what's up? The offensive line that we have. Do you think the Falcons have a top 10 or maybe a top 5 offense this year? That is a great question. So definitely a top 5 rushing offense. 100%. We know that. If you look at the last 3 years up on Arthur Smith, the rushing offense has definitely been top 5. The interesting thing about this offense under Zach Robinson, and if you go look at what Sean McVay, where he comes from, where they did a lot of 11 personnel, not a lot of 12 personnel where Arthur Smith liked to run. So it's a different philosophy in offense, which means the pass protections have to be a little bit better than it normally had been, in the past. We don't have a mobile quarterback. We have a guy that's not going to be moving around a lot. Now, he does have great pocket presence, and he does not, he understands defenses, so he's going to get rid of the ball. But at the same time, pass protections have to be better. Thinking about guys like a Caleb McGarry coming off that right, guys coming off that right side, and Drew Dahlman, eating up the middle. The pressure up the middle would definitely, bust a play. I think up the middle probably is worse than from the outside. So, looking at offensive line, definitely a top 5 rushing offense, but from a pass protection standpoint, The jury's still out on that. We definitely need to see and how they maneuver that. Hopefully these guys improve. The great thing about the Atlanta Falcons offensive line is that it's been there for a while. They have a lot of good continuity. They kept, the offensive line coach here. So, they've been playing a lot of ball together. That's a good thing, right? Matthew Bergeron's coming into his second season. I think they're going to be better, but we still need to see about the pass protection standpoint. And that's where I'm a little concerned. We just have to see. Um, Maybe the new coaches want to see everyone play this year to make decisions on contract. You saying for AJ Terrell? Yeah, I mean that could be the case. That could be the case, 100%. But trust me, Raheem was here when AJ was drafted. I think he know who AJ is. Got enough tape out there. They know what kind of cornerback he is. I don't think. I think it's just they trying to go through the numbers. So if they're gonna keep him, I think the deal will get done sometime. If not by the start of the season, sometime during the season. So I think AJ's here to stay. But I just wanted to throw that out that nugget out there about AJ Terrell. What's good for us is the depth in the secondary. Case things gets a little hurt. That's 100%. That's you are right when you think about it, because I just called out about 4 or 5 guys, and usually when you're looking at the secondary, and you can only call out about 2 or 3. The good thing about this secondary, a guy like Kevin King, before he took injuries and he got injured back to back seasons, so we don't know what he's going to be able to give us, but he had a good pedigree, so that's somebody. Antonio Hamilton played well. In his spots he played, where the teams he was with. We know what Mike Hughes is able to do. You go looking when he played with Kansas City, he actually played pretty good. He played more on the outside than inside. And Clark Phillips, if you look at what he was able to do at the University of Utah, playing more zone. I think that's where Marvin's going to do, play a little bit more zone. Clark Phillips is a ball hawk, man. He just is. So I think, like I said, you putting guys in positions to do what they do best instead of trying to make them fit something you want to do. And I think those guys might play better in a different scheme. We just don't know. We'll have to see. But you're right. The depth is awesome. I like it. And, they might just plug them out there to see who win that battle. And that's one good thing about that on defense line. He said, is London a top 10 receiver? I would say yes. And man, I think he's going to have a great season this year. For one reason, when you think about a guy like Drake London, he almost notched 1,000 yards, and twice in his career with quarterback play that just wasn't consistent enough, right? But he still almost had 1,000 yards in both seasons. He broke the rookie record for receptions for the Atlanta Falcons, right? So he has shown flashes, but if you get a consistent guy back there throwing in the rock, I think Drake London has all the ability to be you're right, a top 10 guy, and could be higher than that, right? One thing about Drake London, man, he's a dog. He like, you heard him. He don't like cornerbacks. That's good. You love that, right? He's going to go up. He thinks that ball is his, is in the air, and I think he has the opportunity to have a breakout season this year. So, yes, Drake London. I think he might have opportunity to get mentioned with some of those guys that has flourished, so far. I don't want to put him up there with the Jeffersons, but he got Justin Jefferson quarterback. So let's see what happens. But let's don't put him that high yet. But yes, I do think he has potential to be a top 10 guy easily. Big Dog says, who is number one player that has no one talking about that we should look forward to? Great question. Number one player nobody's talking about. Hold that thought, because when I got my next point that I'm gonna talk about, I'm going to talk about that person. So just hold that thought. Definitely. I got somebody in mind for you. Another storyline, because I got a couple more storylines I'm gonna get through, guys. Another storyline, it's the D line and the pass rush. All right, it's a storyline. You go back to my last video I did. I talked about pressures and how important pressures get in. Yeah, I talked about we do not have that guy. That's just simple as that. The Atlanta Falcons don't have a guy that's going to dominate and get pressures. We don't have a TJ Watt. We don't have a Micah Parsons. We don't have a Bosa, right? Um, we just don't have those guys. It's just as simple as that. So we have to do it by committee. It just is what it is. From a pass rush standpoint, hopefully Armor Ebiketie takes the step from year 2 to year 3. Hopefully the coaching that I talked about help him, reach, his potential, his ceiling to where he can be. And hopefully the scheme going back to the 3-4 helps him as well. He'd be standing up more and hopefully get more reps than he got last year. We know we had Bud Dupree here, Calais Campbell, so he didn't get as many reps as he probably needed to be, more effective. He was third in sacks on the team, half a sack off number one. So, he's probably our best pass rusher coming into this season. But Armor Ebiketie has to take that jump. But the biggest thing for storyline for me is that defensive line. The Atlanta Falcons drafted 3 different defensive lines in the draft. They got 2, great defensive tackles already on the squad with Grady Jarrett and Dave Mayada. You got broad guys like Cantavius Street back. You got Lakel London. You got Zach Harrison. You got Taquan Graham. I think the defensive line is the storyline because all those guys won't make the roster. You got Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman is still with the team, believe it or not. He's still here. So we definitely going to see see about this defensive line. I cannot wait. We won't get to see a lot of it. Like I said, we'll see more in preseason, but hopefully we get some good word from from the guys reporting on the team about the battles. Right now, you won't get to see a lot of count battles because they don't go 100%. So it's hard to kind of dictate how good these guys are going to be because they don't go 100%. Now they do have 2 joint practices, so hopefully they get in with some of those teams and get some good reps in. But guys like Dorless, guys like Rook Aurora, right? And let's see, and then Zion Lowe, big guy from Georgia, see if he can make an impact. But that defensive line is so deep. If you go back to my 53-man roster projection, a lot of those guys not gonna make it because you want to keep all of them, but you got to build a roster, a complete roster. So some of those defensive linemen is not going to make the roster, and it sucks. But that storyline to me, from a defensive line standpoint, is going to be really interesting, and see who's going to be the odd man out. When it all said and done, we got our dogs up front. You got Grady, you got David, Eddie Goldman. If he can look like he looked when he was in Chicago, it's been 3 seasons, so we don't know how good he's going to look. Um, Zach Harrison. Zach Harrison is a big dude too. You can see him starting to come on last off season towards the end. So if he can make a good jump, that would be really big for us. So interesting to see what Zach Harrison is going to be able to do. But that defensive line is deep. Everybody's not going to make it. It's got to look at the numbers. It's just not possible. So that's going to be interesting to see how they shape out, right? You can say, well, some of those guys can get on the practice squad. Well, some of those guys probably get pulled off the practice squad because some of those guys can really play football. So that's going to be big, and we'll see how that shapes out at the end. When you talk about pass rush once again, don't want to forget about Braylon Trice, the guy they drafted, had the most pressures in college. Last season, people don't want to talk about that, but he did. And hopefully that can translate to the NFL. I think he's one of the most polished pass rushers coming out. Probably the most polished, probably with Latu, that was drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. But Braylon Trice is probably right under that. Now he does not have the athletic ability, but trust me, guys, that's not what NFL football is about. It's look at a guy, like the guy from Oakland. I can't think of his name. Just all motor all the time. That's what you want, man. You got a guy like that. That's what Braylon Trice is going to bring to the table. So it's going to be interesting to see what Braylon Trice is able to bring. But that defensive line, that pass rush, is going to be a huge storyline for Atlanta Falcons. 44, they had 42 sacks last year. Um, let's see, can we at least get back to that number or even eclipse that? Let's see. But it's going to be huge with this defense line. I think the run defense is going to be excellent, but getting the quarterback because it is a passing league. We just talked about the secondary where they have to work hand in hand. It's going to be huge for that defensive line. Let's get into some of these comments real quick. Gaspar said Casey Washington is the guy that been on lookout for. Nobody's talking about. You're probably right. He's guy. He's definitely a guy. Him, London, Mooney could be the starting wide receivers. Definitely. We know Mooney and London will be. Again, the depth of defense gives every opportunity for us as it says. Yes, it's deep, man. And one good thing about that, you hate to say it, injuries happen. So, the depth is good. We got a lot of depth on defense, got a lot of depth in the defensive backfield. It's a lot of depth. It's a lot of depth. How much preseason games will get to see Penix? You think? Oh, Penix gonna play a lot in the preseason. Trust me. I don't think Kirk Cousins will play in the preseason. I know fans don't like to hear that, but I just don't think Kirk Cousins will play in the preseason. I think you will see a lot of Michael Penix though. You say he's big. I know who you're talking about. Man, just hold up the hands and knock down the ball. You talking about Zion Lowe? Probably. That's a big dude. He is a big dude. He's a big dude. All right, guys. Couple more storylines, of course. We talked about the wide receivers. Wide receivers going to be huge. We only brought back Cardell Hodge, Drake London. We got a whole new wide receiver core. A kind of different philosophy from what Arthur Smith had. More fast, shifty guys. Darnell Mooney is take the top off. He's really explosive. It's going to be interesting how they utilize him. Somebody mentioned Casey Washington is a bigger guy. I think he is a guy that we probably need to keep an eye on because I think he might have a role in this team. People not expecting him to have. But then you got the quick guys. That's really Ray McLeod. A guy that's really going to be instrumental on some of the things he do. And then Rondell Moore, who we got in the trade for Desmond Ritter. Explosive guy. Just need to stay healthy and be interested how they utilize him. Right. Already talked about offensive line, so I'm not going to harp on that anymore. But the last storyline that we really need to look into, which nobody's talking about, which I think is going to play a huge role in this 2024 season because it's new, and that's special teams, right? We're not talking about special teams enough. And because the new kickoff rule, we will have kickoff returns pretty much every time a field goal or a touchdown is scored, right? So we play is back in, guys. It's 100% back in. And the kickoff is going to affect the game, believe it or not. So it's going to be an important play again in the NFL. We're not talking about enough. We'll get to see in the preseason what it look like, but special team is huge. Well, that's important for roster builds, right? How they're going to build out the roster and how they're going to determine who's going to make the roster. Because do you want bigger guys there to make tackles and make blocks? Since they're like 10 yards apart, how are you going to factor that in? Who's going to be your returners, right? We got Avery Williams coming back, off injury, who was a dynamic returner for us in the punt return game, right? But you also got a guy like Ray McCall. Now, the way they got it set up, you could have two returners back there, right? So, are they going to have a guy like Avery Williams, who's probably fourth string running back here just for returns, or are they just going to let Ray McLeod do the return job? I don't know. We don't know how they're going to factor that in. But we know Avery Williams was dynamic. He was. If you look at some of the things he was able to do, as a pass rush, as a returner, he was really, really good. So we got to be able to see how Avery Williams return, right? Special team is huge for us. And that kickoff play, something that was taken out the game, that's back now, is going to be really huge for us. So let's get ready for that play. And right, I'm worried. I'm not going to lie about Cardell Patterson coming back to Atlanta with this new kickoff rule. Guess what? Patterson is going to be able to run the ball back. We got to be prepared for that. We talking about a guy that has the most touchdowns in NFL history for kickoff returns, and now every play he gets the ball, he can return the ball. So I don't like that, but we got to be ready for everybody this season. All the returners. Atlanta's has really been doing good at special teams. Go back, look, especially in the Arthur Smith era. So Marquise Williams has those guys playing, but this play is new, right? And roster build, I think, is important, and how they play this play on the kickoff and how they manage it on kickoff return. So just want to throw that storyline out there. A lot of people's not talking about it, but it's going to be a huge play in NFL again, and it's going to put more excitement out there because now when the team score, you can't leave and you got to sit there and wait and see what happened on the kickoff return because it could be fireworks. You can put your team in good field position. We'll see. So I think it's a huge change for the NFL, and it's going to bring more excitement back. But I definitely want to talk about that. So guys, those are some of the storylines. There's so many more that you probably can think about that's out there. I didn't even talk about Bijan Robinson, right? I didn't talk about him, him and his running mate back there. So we know those guys going to be dynamic, right? So that's some of the storylines that we got to look for this 2024 season to start the training camp. All right, let's get into players on my radar that I think that really need to have great seasons and could be game changers for the Atlanta Falcons if they do the things that I'm hoping they can do. One player you talk about, somebody that's not talking about, and that's Troy Anderson, right? Now, Troy Anderson, we know about this guy. Played at Montana, played running back, quarterback, linebacker. He played pretty much all over the field when he was there. He was there, everything guy for the Montana when he played for that team. Right, he was drafted as a linebacker, tested off the walls, just an athletic guy. He ran a 4.42 in the 40, 240-pound linebacker. Guy, just a specimen, right? And I'm gonna put in perspective. I'm not saying that he's the same, right? But I don't want anybody to say this guy said this guy. No, Michael Parsons ran a 4.3, right? He's 245 pounds. Troy Anderson ran a 4.42. He's 240 pounds. It's about the same size. As a matter of fact, Troy Anderson is actually taller than Michael Parsons, right? Michael Parsons comes off the line and wreak habits, right? Freak of nature, right? Troy Anderson has those traits. I'm not saying that he's a Michael Parsons, but he has the ability to be, if he can put all his God-gifted ability together, and put it into how he played football, this guy can be really, really good football player. He really can, right? That's why they drafted him, because they drafted for the ceiling. They knew he was a raw talent because he had to learn, the instincts and things, how to be a great linebacker. But that ability that just God given, if he can just take that and harness that and do some great things with it, he could be a game changer for this Atlanta Falcon team, right? Think about the great defenses. Their middle linebacker is if they play that well. Look at a guy like Fred Warner, how he changes games. Look how Luke Kuechly changed games, right? Brian Urlacher, those guys. I'm going back to Derrick Brooks, right? Guys like that, how they change games. So you get a great linebacker that can go out, and he has the God-given ability, right? He has the ability to handle guys in coverage because of his speed, right? He's shown some traits, but he got to put it all together. Now, he got hurt last year, kind of, broke off the trajectory to see how good he can be. So he's, to me, he's a X factor that nobody's talking about. Now, I love what Nate Landman was able to do last year, but if Troy Anderson can take that God gifted ability that he have, right, and just let it loose and play with his instincts, I think he'd be a great player for the Atlanta Falcons. And I think he could be somebody that could help other guys move out of or different roles and make them better, like her Ellis, right? If you get a guy like Caden Ellis, what he was able to do in New Orleans, right, when he was able to rush the passer and things like that, you take him out the middle and put a guy like Troy Anderson in the middle to be able to call plays and things like that. And now you can put um Caden Ellis to rush passers. So we need more pass rush, right? Things he's good at. He had 8 sacks when he was with the New Orleans the season before he came to us. Last year he had to play middle because Troy got hurt, right? So he was forced to play in the middle. He was forced to play more coverage, right? Well, we got Troy Anderson can do things like that. So I really like if Troy Anderson can just be, the guy that they hope he could be with his ceiling, right? He has not even reached it yet. Don't know if he ever going to get there, but if if it's possible that a guy like Troy Anderson can take that guard, get the bill. I mean, the guy, like I said, 240, 6'4", run a 4.42, and he can put that and translate that into the football field as that middle linebacker, I think it's going to be great. So let's see Troy Anderson. He's already smart. We know that. I mean, think about it. Being able to play quarterback, running back, and fullback, you have to have some intelligence. So being able to learn to play the position should not be an issue for him. Just got to put it all together and see what happened with Troy Anderson. So he's one of the guys that I think is definitely on my radar. And we're going to see what he's going to be able to do. The other guy, I don't think he's a secret to anybody, but I think he's going to have a great, great season, and that's Kyle Pitts, right? I think people forget how talented Kyle Pitts was in college and how good he was his first season, right? Now it's 2 seasons removed from that, right? And people want to throw out all these things about him and things like that, but for any good pass catcher, you need a good quarterback. And let's be honest about it. He had inconsistent quarterback play the last 2 seasons. He also got hurt, the season before last. So he didn't have a complete season. But the season that we've seen, from a rookie standpoint, and the tight end position is not an easy position to play. But when you got good, solid quarterback getting you the ball, right? You can see that, right? And 1 year he had a good quarterback, Matt Ryan. He went over 1,000 yards, right? Touchdowns, right? And let's just be honest, Matt Ryan, for some reason, he always had problems getting his best guys touchdowns in the red zone. He was throw a lot of touchdowns, but his best guys could just, for some reason, could never get the ball. Look at Julio. Julio should have had more touchdowns than he had, but for some reason, but for whatever reason, but look at what Kyle Pitts was able to do. I think this year Kyle Pitts is going to have a breakout season. I know you guys been seeing the videos out there. He looked like he's 100% back, from the injury. I think he's going to have a breakout year. I think he has a quarterback that's going to be able to give him the ball on time, right place, be able to do the things he do. You can see that chemistry growing from those guys during the offseason. And he's the guy that I think is going to be able to be a game changer for us. So Troy Anderson on the defensive side and Kyle Pitts. And I know he's not under anybody's radar. Everybody expect Kyle Pitts to do big things, but I think he's going to have an outstanding year, and he's going to put his name up there with some of those other tight ends in the league. That's what I believe. He has all the ability to do it. He has a quarterback to give him the ball. It's no excuse this year for Kyle Pitts not to have the season that we all thought, he should have had, when we drafted him number 4 overall. That's what I think we should expect from Kyle Pitts, and really nothing less from that, because he has the ability. And if he does not put it together this year, it's his fault, right? Because I think the offense is better tailored for him. I think he has the quarterback. It's going to be all on Kyle Pitts. So it's up to him to be able to do the things he need to do. Those are the 2 guys that's on my radar. There's a lot more guys out there you could definitely talk about. Grady coming back off injury, see if he's going to be back to form. He said this is the best offseason yet. So we're going to see um, so many guys that we can talk about. But those two guys I definitely want to see are Kyle Pitts and the Troy Anderson, right? We definitely got to see. Remember, Kyle Pitts is they just picked up his fifth year out for next year. So Kyle Pitts is playing for that new contract as well. So I think he's going to have a hell of a season. And him and Drake London, but Kyle Pitts is ready to hit the ground running. All right, guys. My last storyline I want to talk about this season is the expectation for this season. Right, the expectation for this season. So, um, and I'm going to keep it real. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm not finna say the Atlanta Falcons going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if we're there yet. Now, anything could happen, right? You get into the tournament, get into the postseason. Hey, you can run off 4 or 5 games and get it done, right? So I'm not gonna say it's impossible for the Atlanta Falcons to win the Super Bowl, but that's not my expectation for this team, and where I would be satisfied with this team. So I want to be realistic with you guys. Um, I think if the Atlanta Falcons can get into the postseason, that should be the expectations. It shouldn't fall for anything less. They don't get in the playoffs, it's a complete failure. It's just that simple. There's no other way around it. The expectations for the Atlanta Falcons this season is the postseason, right? That's where they need to go, right? Raheem Morris said it. There was a quarterback away. They got the quarterback. Yes, it's a lot of new pieces, a lot of new things going on, right? Maybe you want to give them a year grace period because it's all new. I don't think we can do that. I think they have the pieces there. They have everybody there. It might take them time in 2024 to get it rolling, but I expect them to play well this offseason. And that's my expectations. I really do. My season expectation for Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC South, get to a postseason, host a home playoff game. If they can do that, in my opinion, in Raheem Morris' first season, it's a success. So that should be their goal. That should be opportunity. And if they do that, then we can say the Atlanta Falcons had a good season, right? So, guys, with all that being said, the season is here. I know you guys are excited, just like me. I can't wait to see how this thing, starts and how to get it rolling. I know you guys can't wait either. So that's all I have. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.